Alright, what is up? Welcome back. It's time for Daily 658 Part 2, where we're learning to be a better gamer from Elfi's 2-basedness. As much as I love a 3-base play, we're talking about how to do 2-base plays. In Part 1, we did the simple economic setup style 1-2 punch. Any good play is going to do first a setup and two a finisher. Excuse me, the plays that we're talking about today. Any good version of these 2-basey sort of quick win plays always have a setup and always have a sort of finishing blow. And we chose the first one because, again, it was extreme mineral focus early. Nexus first, sentries, not stalkers, chrono boosting probes. And then it was finishing with a big gateway attack, extreme aggression. Here we're going to see an aggressive play that will mess with TLO, and then a follow-up to finish him off. This is the other simplest form of 1-2 punching. The attack that will force a specific kind of response, and the finisher that exploits that response. So what we're going to be seeing out of Elfi is he's going to go Stargate to force TLO to build lots of anti-air, and then Elfi's quickly going to build a lot of ground units. Ta-da! Easy peasy. Let's see all this work together, because that's a nice statement, but we want to make sure that we're doing it properly. We're probably going to need a lot of resources to be able to do this big gateway push. So we're probably going to need a lot of probes. We're probably not going to need a lot of gas if we are going for something like Phoenix into Zealot, which is what we're going to see. Now, here's something that can change from map to map. Why open with Pylon first? Or... Did you hear what I said? Why open Pylon first? A question that many people debate for lots of hours and shit. Why would someone go Pylon in main base first? Why would someone go gate in main before expand? That's what I actually meant to say. Why would someone do this? As opposed to, say, walling off here and going for an expand. Many people, pretty simply, just hate defending this map, this huge, gigantic thing early. And on maps where it's kind of a pain in the ass to defend this, very often folk will go for a gate first in main. So I mean, it's kind of simple as that. Again, we're not super strict about openers. We are more strict on the idea of these concepts. You'll notice I didn't talk at all about the exact timings of when Nexus first happened, when the warp gate was started and finished. Just chrono boost on probes, sentries, not stalkers. Nexus first. So Elfi's going to be doing a rather aggressive looking opening. Double gas right out the gate, nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's a lot of good stuff right about that. Elfi's also going to do a follow-up pylon on the low ground with a probe heading on down. Already Elfi would have seen a 6-pool coming up on up and that sort of thing. Elfi puts 2 in each gas because that's just the right amount to be able to get Mothership Core and Warp Gate and even a Stalker too. Ta-da! Hatchery. So Elfi's just doing a little scouting out and around and the usual sorts of things. Let's look at what's going on back home. Just enough for Mothership Core and Warp Gate, and soon enough a Stalker. Oh yeah, that's right, he did do that in this game. Whoops. Thought of the wrong game first. That's fine. Okay, so Elfi is opting to go for this Stalker first. Notice the Zealot was cancelled. I'm sure many of you have seen this play 1,000 times, but for any of you who haven't, you start building the Zealot. This is just in case you're worried about Zerglings coming. And if you do see Zerglings arrive at your base, you let it finish. If you don't see Zerglings arrive at your base, you cancel it. Build a Stalker instead. That's how we save resources. So why would someone want to go for a Stalker immediately? It's just to remove all the scouts. To remove all the scouts, to deal with slow lings. And why do we know they're slow lings? Well, because we saw it No gas. No gas, Joe. Now, one thing that's very nice about going for a gateway first opening is it's a pretty strong deterrent for many Zergs from over-droning early on. Let's look at what's going to happen with this Stalker Mothership Core rush as the Nexus goes down. So in the unit counting station, we see it's just a pair of Lings. Good. Remember what our play is. We want to go air to make him build a lot of anti-air, and then flood with ground so that he doesn't really have enough ground stuff. Very simple play down the line. There's a number of ways to do it. You could early expand and rush for the Phoenix. What we're seeing here is Elfi's going gateway first, and he's applying a little bit of pressure. Now look at the production. We see a couple more Zerglings getting produced. Obviously Sentry for defense, very normal plays here. Elfi's looking for whatever he can. Forge going down, nothing surprising thus far. We see that there's already been a good amount of Zerglings made. There's been 8 made thus far, there's 2 more on the way. A Zergling is going to work its way up into the base. No big deal, it's going to see a Stargate, which is probably the most common Protoss opening, is something into Stargate, either early expand into Stargate or 1 gate into Stargate. And it's just going to be a supremely easy defense for Sir Elfi. Just applying a little bit of pressure, not too much. We have some gateways at the front to form a wall. Alright, nifty. Chrono Boost has not been going crazy because anytime a Protoss is tight on cash, the best thing to do is just to halt Chrono Boosting. Keep building everything as is, and then just save the Chrono Boost until, yeah, there's enough to get out what you need. So, alright, everything thus far has been set up on the defense. Sentry beginning to tickle down the rocks to soon enough take a third. Now, it's very easy to forget about third bases when you're going for 2-base plays. But again, notice how Elfi's doing little moves to allow himself another out. He's going to go Phoenix into Zealot just to kind of crush TLO immediately. But, what do you know? Just in case he wants to be able to have the rocks down weak for a follow-up. Chrono Boost on the probes or on the Phoenix. It's very easy to go nuts and Chrono Boost the crap out of the Phoenix and do nothing else but Phoenix Chrono Boosting, which is a great way to broke yourself into the ground. So we do see some Chrono Boosting on these on deprobers. Now here is a sneaky little bastard play. Here we see the Overlord from TLO. Look at the TLO cam. Was barely in range, actually barely not in range of seeing this. You can assume as a Protoss player that anything that's at the tips of bases is going to be seen by an Overlord. So this is probably going to be seen by an Overlord. This expansion can be seen by an Overlord that's over here somewhere. So Elfi builds not 2 pylons, just 1. And what do you know? Hey, look. +1's getting started. Chrono Boost. Oh, on the probes. Ah. Not on the Phoenixes. It's not a crazy fast amount of Phoenixes. I think there's only actually been 1 Chrono spent here. All the rest is going on the economy. And the instant the Overlord is away, oh, what a sneaky bastard, not getting any more gas. Ew. So, imagine what's happening from TLO's point of view. He's seen 1 Phoenix. He's going to see that these rocks are being worked away on. He's going to be moving these Zerglings around to check on the outside rings for some sort of proxy. And Phoenixes are trickling in 1 at a time. This looks very much so like TLO is in control, and more importantly, that there's probably not any big, scary gateway push coming. Which there totally is, by the way. No geysers at all. Has stopped at just over 16 here, and exactly 16 here. 15 plus this one. But phoenixes are still being made, not in tremendous numbers. It's going to go up to 5, which seems like the normal amount, but it's not tremendous because Chrono Boost has not really been going down on the phoenixes that much. I think, again, this is like the second Chrono Boost. Usual little harassments. And the setup of this attack is the whole point of this show. What's being set up? Spores. Spores galores. I think oh yeah, look, there's more being set up. I'll actually wait just a little bit longer to show that, so that way we can see it all happening. So Elfi has actually warped in a couple of units. I mean, he has not gotten the chance to move out all the way on the map. He is not doing this fast. He's just doing it eventually. And here's the moment where we can see the real damage that TaeJa's done to himself. 2 spores here, 2 spores and a queen here, 2 spores here, a late layer because of some cutesy zergling stuffs. 54 drones. TaeJa actually doesn't even really have that many drones. It's very easy to look at a game like this and go, oh my god, I mean, TaeJa, he just way over-droned in this spot. He really didn't. Over-droning is not the source of the loss. Just some mis-scouting and mis-preparations. So we actually see that Elfi just continues to warp in zealots back here. Look at how safe this play is. This is not a really fortunately hidden probe. This is just a very slow, deliberate shove. Now, you might ask one of the more reasonable questions a human being would ask right now. What on earth is Elfi doing that's setting himself up for the late game? We'll see that in just a pinch. Has to do with the gas. So here he comes, man, flooding in with all the things. Easy plays, hip, 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 hoorays. Wait, how many zealots are here, man? Isn't this awesome? Just keeps making zealots. Now, in a time like this, when things are going really, really, really well with a play like this, one of the best moves you can do is just take both geysers. Especially, like, if you're convinced that you're going to win, take the damn geysers. If you're really having a lot of doubt and you're anxious, that's when it's probably going to be correct to either completely pull back or to definitely shove for kind of all-in-ish sort of thing. But if you're in an unbelievably comfortable situation, like exactly what we're seeing here, it's a great time to take the 2 geysers. With all this gas banked up and all these gateways back here, even though it's not that common, getting a Twilight for some double forge upgrades in the similar style of Stardust, going for a very sentry-heavy 3rd, again in the style of Stardust, works fantastically. What an easy Fabrizi push. See, look, oh, Twilight Council. Zealot Archon, a possibility, although not as common. Following up also with 7 gates worth of Blink to do a sort of Sentry Stalker Blink defense. Excuse me, 8 gate Stalker Sentry defense. Totally a possibility here. Any gateway focused play is going to be really good. And there's the GG. So again, I will note that here is... Oh, nope, I want to be at 6. Simple step 1, going for the Stargate, to force our opponent to build a lot of anti-air, so that way, by the time our gateway attack is ready to go, it's not a fast gateway attack, it's just a nice gateway attack. Look at these useless spores. Useless spores, useless spores. Oh yeah. Now, what I'm going to do is come back and fast forward to hit some of the key moments in this that I think are rather significant. I really like thinking this way because it makes a lot of the in-game decisions easier to figure out in the moment. and clear to see when you're watching a game like this. The wrong way to kind of think about games is to start at the beginning and to step to this moment right now and say, okay, what's the best play now? I think this is the best play. And then you do that, and now you're here, and you're like, okay, what's the best play now? Or I'm going to do this, okay, now, to keep thinking from here onward. Really what you should be thinking is, I want to get over there. That's my goal. What's the best way to step towards my goal right now? So, in this opening circumstance, we can see, for instance, why would Elfi maybe want to cancel this zealot? Well, to get up his early expansion. It's pretty simple. Why would he want to get this double gas started pretty early? Well, he wants to get his Stargate up quickly enough. Makes it pretty clear. This is just staying alive. Why would he want to do this? This is just the techniques to stay alive. I mean, everyone will experience those, etc., 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 etc. Here's some more subtle questions of why. Man, I hate it when StarCraft does that. That's okay. That's okay. It was totally silent. Not a big deal. Anyways, so everything that Elfi's been doing up to now is pretty simple. These are all just stay alive moves. The Forge is here. I thought I fixed the sound. Is it really continuing to be off? That's weird. Alright, whatever. I don't know. Sometimes the technology just cuts out and cuts right back in. Didn't do a thing. Everything that we've talked about just now, the big moves, are just stay alive moves. In case the sound cut this out, we went Warp Gate before anything else because we just kind of need it to defend against some big all-in plays. We get a Forge because we just kind of need it to hold those off. But we now also see why we're chrono boosting probes so much, because we need enough minerals to throw down all these gateways. We can see why we're not building extra sentries, because we only have 2 geysers, and we need to get phoenixes out, we need to get +1 out. We're going to be mega low on gas. We now know why this was cancelled, because it all contributes to our plan of focusing on the gateways. We can even see why this rock tower is getting killed off. It's to trick our enemy into thinking that we do want to expand when we actually have our play, our big old play coming up. We can see now why Elfi, his plan relies on him staying back and warping in here before heading out, because he doesn't have any units to be able to safely get down a pylon. Cool. Yeah, I mean, the cancel's the biggest one of all, but it's just an easy, nice play. Cool. Now we're going to close out on a short part number, short part number 2. When we come back in part 3, we're going to watch a Protoss vs. Protoss between Elfi and Hero, where kind of the same weirdnesses come up. It's going to be somewhat of an extreme and almost painful game in a lot of ways to watch, but we're still going to appreciate the notion of a 1-2 punch in a one-basing PvP. Be back in 2 to 3 minutes for the next part.